children who gave me my power. The Springwood Slasher. That's what they called me.
Now look, folks, I'll be the first one to tell you, I am not the brightest guy in the world. In fact, I guarantee that if I were to take an IQ assessment, I would score lower than Hitler. Now, does that make Hitler more wise than me? Perhaps. But we're not here to talk about Hitler. We're here to focus on power, intellect, and intelligence, and how those dynamics differ and also play a role in our collective Nightmare on Life Street. They say knowledge is power, and they say power corrupts. They also say with great power comes great responsibility. And I've been hearing rumors that absolute power absolutely corrupts. So, if knowledge is power, what is the power of knowledge keeping charged or running properly? You know what I mean? Like power over others, power over ourselves, the power to kill, to heal, to teach, to learn, to choose right from wrong. Now, does knowledge inherently corrupt since knowledge is power? Is this corruption a great responsibility? Like I said, I'm not the brightest guy in the world, folks, so I'm not really sure. But maybe someone like Stephen Hawking might know.
I don't know either. Please take me back to Epstein Island.
Well, that isn't very helpful, but thanks anyways, Mr. Hawking.
You're welcome.
Say, what's a wise guy like Hawking doing at Epstein Island anyways, Paulie?
Well, actually, I'm very happy you asked me that, Schwam. You see, these know-nuttin' pricks who claim to be the experts of everything are about as wise as my ass. Now, don't get it twisted, these pricks are cunning. They're more than cunning, they're brilliant, really. But you see, that's the thing all, Schwammy boy. It's their cunning brilliance that makes them the evil shits they are. See, they think, as long as enough people aren't really paying attention, they can keep getting away with their sick shit. And to an extent, they're right. But the problem with these brilliant fuckheads is, they often lack a certain degree of holistic emotional intelligence. In other words, they're left-brained eggheads. Some refer to them as master psychologists or dark occultists. Whatever it is you want to call them, just know they're far from illuminated and even further from elite. They're manipulative parasites is what they are, Schwam.
Those are some interesting points, Paulie. But it doesn't explain why Hawking was at Epstein Island.
Well, please allow me to finish. See, these scumbags are addicted to adrenaline, but not in the same way Deputy Dunning is. I mean, really addicted. These sickos don't play around with their addiction neither. They literally harvest the adrenaline directly from children's adrenal glands in some type of sacrificial ritual. They do it to maintain their youth or some shit. It's fucking nuts if you ask me. As far as I understand, it's some type ancient rite which has been practiced for millennia. Doesn't make it any less sick. I don't care how long they've been doing it. It's sick.
Whoa, Paulie. Those are some pretty wild accusations you're throwing at some pretty powerful folks. How can you be so sure?
Well, truth is, it's hard to be sure about any of this stuff. Being as the list they got available to the public means squat, even with the unredacted list. You know nothing's ever gonna happen to these pricks. And get this. Now you got the FBI and DOJ saying there is no client list. No client list? I mean, are you fucking kidding me? I bet next week they'll be saying pedophiles aren't real. Oh, don't worry everybody, there's no client list, and old Jeffrey killed himself. And hey, while we're at it, there is also no adults anywhere on the face of the earth that are attracted to children. Isn't that just wonderful? I tell you, it makes my blood boil just thinking about these pricks. And here's the crazy part. Most folks are aware that this shit's going on, or are at the very least aware that the government is aiding and abetting organized human trafficking of children. But the second you mention Pizzagate, they'll call you a whack job. Look, Schwam, I don't want to get you too off topic from Dunning-Kruger or whatever the fuck. I just think it's worth noting some of the possible correlations linking those seeking positions of power, their general level of intelligence, pedophilia, and human trafficking.
You know, I think you might actually be onto something there, maybe, Paulie. Some interesting speculation, to say the least. What are some sources or maybe some materials that you could suggest for folks out there that might want to take a closer look at this phenomenon?
Well, considering Cash Sherlock Patel Holmes, Pam James Bondi, and the Mystery Department of Justice gang seem to be having such a tough time with their investigation, we're forced to rely on whistleblowers and independent research. Problem with that is a lot of these whistleblowers end up offing themselves, or someone's paying to have them whacked. Anyways, I think a critical piece of research would be the 2-volume Whitney Webb books, One Nation Under Blackmail. Apparently over a decade of research went into these books. She also had some help from some key whistleblowers and insiders. Now, beyond Whitney's books, we have 3 separate alleged first-hand accounts from 3 women who claim to be victims of monarch programming, as well as being survivors who have escaped the political sex slave trade industry, which, based on Volume 1 of One Nation Under Blackmail, has been around for some time now. The most widely recognized of these books being Kathy O'Brien's Transformation of America. If the shit written in this book is true, which I have no reason to believe otherwise, then we have some seriously twisted shitheads in office who have gotten off the hook for some real awful atrocities. I mean, if you think the shit me and Tone were getting away with was bad, wait till you read some of the shit some of these public officials have been getting away with. It makes me and Tone look like freaking choir boys. All right, so next up, we've got Bryce Taylor's book, Thanks for the Memories, which was published 4 years after Kathy's book. And very much like Transformation of America, Bryce goes on to name names and make very damning accusations against high-profile individuals, such as former U.S. presidents and other prominent figures. Surprisingly, you'll find that none of these individuals have ever publicly denied any of the claims made by either of these women. Furthermore, no legal action has ever been taken against either Kathy O'Brien or Bryce Taylor by the accused for any type of defamation of character or slander lawsuit. Not to mention no credible official investigation has ever taken place into the specific claims made in either of these books. So let me ask you this. If these claims lack credible evidence, why has an official investigation never occurred? Wouldn't the individuals named in their books want to investigate these matters to the fullest extent if they were false? And to a similar point, wouldn't the government want to investigate these claims if they were true? Lastly, I just wanted to briefly speak on the Candy Jones book. It was written a whole 20 some odd years before Kathy or Bryce's books hit the shelves. Interestingly enough, this book came out a year after the MK Ultra experiments were exposed to the public. Similarly to the aforementioned books, no official investigations have ever taken place into the claims, and you guessed it, no defamation or slander suits against Donald Bain or Jessica Wilcox. Suffice it to say, the whole situation is very strange. I mean, how many friggin' books do people gotta write before an official investigation takes place? You really mean to tell me that there's not one foundational claim worth investigating within the entirety of these 3 books? Okay, even if we go with that, then once again, why not sue? If there's no credible evidence, and all 3 women are lying, why not make a harsh example out of them through the legal system? Look, if you're still incredulous, good! After all, we've only mentioned 4 books so far. But for the sake of time, I'll just ring off a few other articles of research worth examining.